Now, you might have seen this week the negotiations between the Actors Union and various Hollywood studios have broken down again.
Oh, yes.
Which is good, I feel. You're already winning. You may as well just keep it going,
The Writers Guild, they got what they wanted. Keep it going,
No, absolutely. Yes, that's all good stuff. But as a result of all of these things in a new direction for Marvel, the Wrap are reporting that Daredevil, the series, is being retooled. So there's a bit of information here, Mason. For those who don't know, there were 3 series of Daredevil on Netflix, and there was various spin-offs, including The Defenders, and there was probably another thing. So it was in She-Hulk recently, but they're basically taking some elements of that original show, some of the actors, and bringing it over to a new series on Disney+, which keeps some of the continuity, but not enough where they have to pay the original showrunners.
Right.
That's the idea, right? So it's called Daredevil Born Again as opposed to Daredevil Season 4. So apparently fewer than half of the series' 18 episodes have been shot, but that was enough for Marvel executive including Kevin Feige, to review the footage and come away with a clear-eyed assessment. The show was not working.
Ouch.
I know. So in late September, Marvel quietly let go of its head writers, Chris Ord and Matt Corman, and also released the directors from the remainder of the season. The studio was now on the hunt for new writers and directors. Sources say that Corman and Ord crafted a legal procedural that did not resemble the Netflix version, known for its action and violence, and Cox didn't even show up in costume until the 4th episode. Now, the rumors was that he was, and this might be a spoiler, but they're changing it, that he retired because Foggy Nelson was killed potentially.
And also Karen, I think, yeah.
I think Karen wasn't mentioned at all.
Oh, okay, right.
So they haven't contacted Deborah Ann Woll about reprising that role or literally anything. And I think here's some insight into kind of how these shows have been operating. So since WandaVision, Marvel apparently didn't commission pilots, but instead shot entire 150 million plus seasons of TV shows on the fly.
Great.
I knew
That's the Marvel method, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they didn't do pilots, but the idea of doing them on the fly is, well, some of them is very evident, I guess. They also didn't hire showrunners, but instead depended on film executives to run the series. And as Marvel does it for movies, it relies on post-production and reshoots to fix what wasn't working. Now, we've, of course, seen that in a number of shows. I think the one where it's most evident is Secret Invasion, which is just a disaster.
And
top to bottom,
it absolutely is. As I understand it, they initially had one of the writers for the TV series, Mr. Robot, for that show, and then they let him go. So I would say of modern prestige television, Mr. Robot is up there. And it's a show about intrigue,
espionage. And who's who. And
exactly. And they're like, no, we don't want this guy.
Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating now that
we want to punch up in a grey pit.
Exactly. I think it's fascinating that now they've gone, apropos of nothing. It's got nothing to do with the fact that the writers won a bunch of new rights and new agreements. But we've decided that for our future projects, we're going to hire a showrunner that's an actual writer and not a TV executive or a movie executive who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Interesting creative decision.
Isn't it, though?
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's just a weird coincidence.
So apparently it's also revamping its entire development process. So showrunners will now write pilots and show Bibles. I mean, that shit is just like...
You would have thought that's the basics, right?
The days of Marvel shooting an entire series from She-Hulk to Secret Invasion, then looking at what's working and what's not, are done. And that also is good news for anybody in VFX, as opposed to getting you get something and they're like, make this laser happen. And then they're like, actually, we took out the laser. And this whole episode, we're not doing it anymore and we're reshooting
That's right.
it. Whatever.
Yeah. We're doing a new episode. Could you
make it?
Could you make the whole episode? You have to come up with the plot and the lasers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So the plan is now for the studio to lean into the idea of multi-season serialized TV, because a lot of these feel one and done as well.
Yeah, like Moon Knight. Do you remember Moon Knight?
I remember. Yeah, it was fine. Like Hawkeye. I like the idea of one and dones as well. Yeah. Like not everything has to be serialized and ongoing forever. That's totally fine with me, but sure. Stepping away from the limited series format that has defined it, Marvel wants to create shows that run several seasons where characters can take time to develop relationships with the audience rather than feeling like they're set up for a big crossover event. Yes.
But personal relationships with the audience, with specific audience members. You buy an NFT, and then it associates you with the characters, and then they shout you out live on the show.
Just a quick question: is there any chance that all my apes are gone if I do this? Or
no,
this is a solid investment.
Yeah, this is solid.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great, really good stuff. Yeah, just the idea of going into these things blind and just throwing like $150 million
Amazing.
at a show that people don't care about it all
Yeah.
is just incredible.
I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't have any, you don't want to voice any of those
No, I
opinions?
decided I had no insights there. No, I don't know. I just think, we talk about, again, we talk about superhero fatigue, and it isn't an issue of.
It's not the superheroes themselves.
It is the idea behind, like, Marvel made Infinity War and Endgame, and each of them made in excess of $1 billion, and they were like the highest grossing movies of the year, and they've become some of the highest grossing movies of all time. And then clearly the people with the money went, oh, so you made one of those in each of those years. Could you make 2 Infinity War and Endgames?
Yeah.
Every year? And they're like, well, it was sort of a culmination of a bunch of stuff.
We did start in 2008.
Okay, but could you just do it though? Could you just do that? Could you do it? And, we've talked about how they've ramped up production of stuff. And, in previous years it was like 10 hours total of movies and TV shows, but now it's like 50 hours or whatever it is. Because it's just like, just ramp up the production, ramp up the marketing, and it'll all be a hit. And it's like,
absolutely,
that's not how any of this works.
I saw a thing, I can't remember where I saw it on Twitter, but it was basically like, it's from Culture Crave. They did it's from the Watch Pod, where they said Marvel Studios thought they put on a banger with Ant-Man 3 and was shocked when it was panned by critics and fans. And I don't understand how you could like see that and go like, yeah, this is...
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Right, but the idea that you look at that and go, that's like anything that...
But I think somebody with money, some investor somewhere went, oh, well, they got an assistant to break down Infinity War and Endgame and went, okay, so there's a big bad guy and he wants to destroy the universe. And there's a big mass battle sequence or whatever. Well, this has got that.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's just as good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. No.
And it is.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
And then the Jonathan Majors thing. Like, it feels directionless. And this kind of leads into, which I don't necessarily think it is, but the way that it is, because I think there is a direction, but it's been a poor kind of like weird wiggly road that I don't want to be on for a lot of it.
Oh, the weird wiggly road of Marvel. That's what they'll call the documentary in a few years' time. Marvel's weird wiggly road.
And again, not to say that...
disaster.
Yeah, not to say that there hasn't been like individual movies and episodes that I have liked. But anyway, boxofficepro.com are reporting that the domestic opening for the Marvels is between $50 and $75 million. So the pre-sale trends for the Marvels is currently 42% behind the Eternals, 69% behind Guardians of the Galaxy 3, 72% behind Ant-Man and the Wasp 3.
Oh, no. That's one of the worst ones. That's the one we were talking about
just saying
earlier.
we didn't like it that much.
Just saying, I thought it was...
I was fine.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was like an issue of a comic book, and you go, that was fine.
That was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah. But
I paid $1.95 for this. You paid $200 million to make it.
Right. Now that's out, I'd say like November 10th-ish, maybe.
Yeah, in Australia it's November 9th.
Okay, there you go. Wow. Good to get an early one. But what's wild about that is that they can't promote it properly because of the actors' strike that's happening. I feel like they also haven't really been promoting it regardless.
No, absolutely
I'm
not.
not seeing, like, there's the occasional featurette and whatever. But,
that's true, yeah.
But that's really, I don't know anybody who knows anything about this. And the previous one I know, we talked about, the opening of that movie was $153 million. And bearing in mind that came out between Avengers movies.
That's right, exactly.
That's not gonna happen, right? But this is not good either.
Were you going to say dismal?
Well, no, look, considering it probably cost $300 million, then yeah, it is dismal. That's looking at the entire domestic run, it could take between $121 to $189 million, which again could potentially be less than it took in the opening weekend. But yeah, and also I think it looks all right. Like, it could actually be fun, but I also think, like, again, if I wasn't doing it for this show, it's not essential viewing for me at this point.
Absolutely.
Like, I will watch it for this.
Yeah.
And to be fair, my son's like, he wanted to see it, so.
Has he seen any of the previous Captain Marvel stuff? Ms. Marvel?
Seen nothing.
Interesting.
Not a single thing.
He's not going to know why Ronan the Accuser was replaced by a different accuser.
I'll tell him after the movie.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about what to show, I think I've talked about this, and it would be, because he's got his own stuff. Right? And I don't want to be like...
His own movie production.
Yes, exactly.
Business.
I don't want to be like his 24 movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't... I don't want to rewatch all of those.
Yeah.
So it would be like... If I was, it'd be like first Iron Man, first Captain America, maybe Thor Avengers.
Yeah. Maybe those ones and just be like, if you want to watch more...
Probably Guardians.
Yeah. If you want to watch more, they're available. But I can't
on
do
your
it
own
anymore.
time.
I'm leaving.
They're all on Disney Plus.
Because you don't want
What order are they in? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Some are prequels, some are sequels. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What should I watch? Black Widow. I don't know.
No.
After Civil War, you probably could have. Would make sense,
Yeah.
but
Because you don't want to. First of all, you don't want to force your interest on your kids, but also you don't want to force your interest on your kids if you're not that interested in them anymore.
Exactly. So there you go.
Yeah, well.
Big comic book news.
Was that big comic book news?
Yep.
Was it more comic book movie news?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.